Welcome to the Unitarian Universalist Church of Utica. I'm Kim Bywater, a member of the Worship Committee. Whether you are visiting for the first time or have been a member for many years, you are welcome here. Whatever faiths you have known, if any, you are welcome here. Whoever you are and whomever you love, you are welcome here. We are invited to bring our whole selves to this worship service, our doubts as well as our convictions, the pain and joy we have known, our longing for connection and understanding. Every part of you is welcome here. If you are signing in today for the first time, we are glad you have joined us. We would love to learn more about you and connect with you with our newsletter if you would like. There is a link in the chat to a form that we hope any visitors would fill out, and we hope you will stay for informal conversation and breakout groups after the service. We have an announcement today. The annual meeting will begin at 11:45 after the service. Please plan to stay for the meeting. A link to the meeting packet will be provided through the chat. Let us open our hearts and minds to the experience of community and the wisdom of love.
Good morning, and thank you again for inviting me to speak today. It's always wonderful to see your familiar faces, and perhaps soon we'll be able to meet in person because I sure miss my hugs. Today is our Flower Communion Sunday, and if you notice in the video that we already played that first song, those are some of the pictures that have been submitted by all of you to Melissa. Absolutely gorgeous flowers. Thank you. Some background a little bit on the Flower Communion Sunday for those who might not know, although many of you do know of it, so a refresher for those. The Flower Communion service was created by Norbert Kapek, who founded the Unitarian Church in Czechoslovakia. He introduced this special service to that church in 1923, looking for some symbolic ritual that would bind people more closely together. Yet the format had to be one that would not alienate anyone who left other traditions. So he turned to the natural beauty of their countryside for elements of a communion which would be genuine to them. The Flower Communion service was a result, and it was such a success that it was held yearly just before the summer recess of the church, as you are close to now. People were asked to bring a flower of their choice, either from their own garden or from the field or roadside when they could meet in person. And today in the Zoom, we may have some in our rooms. We may have pre-mailed a picture. In pre-COVID days, when they arrived at church, a vase stood waiting in the vestibule. Each person was asked to place their flower in the vase. This signified that it was by their own free will that they joined with the others. The resulting vase with all the flowers was a symbol of the union of the fellowship of the church. And Dr. Kapek would then say a prayer and consecrate the flowers. After the service, as people left the church, they went to the vase and took a flower from the vase, other than the one they had brought. The significance of this flower communion is that no two flowers are alike, so no two people are alike, yet each has a contribution to make. Together, the different flowers form a unique bouquet. And so it is with church community. It would not be the same without each and every one. This service is a statement of that community. By sharing flowers, even our pictures of flowers, we show a willingness to walk together in the search for truth, for peace. We are the flowers. For those who have already emailed your pictures, we say thank you. And thank you to Melissa for organizing that. For those who have their flowers with them now, to show your flowers, can we switch, take off the spotlight and show group view? Does anyone have flowers to show in their pictures? See, I have my geranium back here, beautiful geranium, which I love. I used to buy for my mom, now I buy for myself on Mother's Day, just to remember her. I guess we can put you back on spotlight, Melissa. As you think of these flowers that you have, that you've sent in pictures of, Let me share with you Dr. Capek's blessing that he gave in the original service. Infinite Spirit of life, we ask thy blessing on these, thy messengers of fellowship and love. May they remind us amid diversities of knowledge and of gifts to be one in desire and affection and devotion to thy will. May they also remind us of the value of comradeship, of doing and sharing alike. May we cherish friendship as one of the most precious gifts. May we not let awareness of another's talents discourage us or sully our relationship, but may we realize that whatever we can do, great or small, the efforts of all of us are needed to do the work in the world. In the spirit of community, we worship. Our first hymn this morning is number 76, For Flowers That Bloom About Our Feet. Thank you.
We light this chalice in the words of the Buddha. If we could see the miracle of a single flower clearly, our whole life would change.
It's time for our together time, and I've chosen this book called It Just Blooms in connection with our flower service. Let's see if we can see that. Blossom woke up one morning and looked out the window. The sun was just beginning to peek through the clouds and warm up the ground outside. Let's see. It looked like the perfect day to go play in the meadow. So after breakfast, Blossom waved goodbye to her mama and hopped outside to find her friends. As she hopped along the path, she looked up and saw her friend, Honey. Honey loved to flutter her wings and fly as fast as she could, soaring from flower to flower. Hi, Blossom, do you want to fly over the meadow to look at all the beautiful flowers with me? Honey asked. Of course she did. Blossom thought flying around the meadow sounded like so much fun. But there was one teeny tiny problem. Sadly, she called up to Honey, I cannot fly. I do not have any wings. Okay, said Honey. She waved goodbye with a quick flutter of her wings and flew off into the meadow. As Blossom hopped further down the path, a pine cone stumbled to the ground and landed right in front of her paws. She looked up into the pine tree to see her friend Scooter, the squirrel. Scooter called down, Hi, Blossom. I'm going to climb all the way to the top of the tree. Do you want to come climbing with me? Of course she did. Who wouldn't want to climb a big tree like a squirrel? But there was one tiny problem. That sounds like so much fun, Scooter, but I cannot climb up a tree. I can only hop, Blossom said, disappointed. Scooter quickly waved goodbye and then scurried up the tree so high that Blossom could not even see him anymore. Blossom continued hopping down the path until she stopped at the pond and she saw her friend Finny, the frog. Finny was hopping from one lily pad to the next. He could hop right across the pond without getting wet at all. Finny waved at Blossom. Come, hop across these lily pads with me. We will have so much fun. Blossom was excited because she was a good hopper. Just like Finny, she gave a big push and hopped as hard as she could onto the lily pad. Only she didn't land on top of the lily pad at all. With a big splash, the water went flying everywhere and Blossom found herself soaking wet in the middle of the pond. Oops, I guess I'm too big for lily pad jumping, she called out to Finny as she shook the water out of her ears. Finny waved goodbye and hopped away on the lily pads. Blossom climbed out of the water and stood shivering by the side of the pond. She decided to just go home instead of continuing on to the meadow to play. She felt quite discouraged. When she returned home, she found her mom visiting, waiting outside to greet her, and she was excited to hear about Blossom's adventures. Oh, Mom, it was a hard day. I didn't get to play with anybody at all. I cannot fly through the sky like Honey. I wish I had wings. I cannot race up all the tall trees like Scooter. I wish I could climb trees. I cannot hop across the pond. I wish I were smaller. Mom put her arm around Blossom and gave her a hug. Those things can be very frustrating, yes? I know just the solution. Come with me and I will show you something. She took Blossom's hand and together they hopped around to the back of the house and into the garden. Do you see all the different kinds of flowers in the garden? Yes, Mama. I see roses and poppies and tulips and so many more. The garden is very special, explained Mom, because there are many kinds of flowers that grow in different colors, sizes, and shapes, and each flower is unique. There are tall flowers and short flowers. There are pink, yellow, and white flowers. Some flowers have big petals and some have small petals. You are like these flowers, said Mom. I don't think I quite understand, Blossom said. You have noticed that you and your friends are different. Some of you can climb trees, some of you cannot. Some of you have wings and some of you do not. You can all do different things, and that's what makes you all special in your own way. So being different is good, she asked. Yes, Blossom, it's okay that you are not just the same as your friends. You have your own talents, like digging holes and hopping high into the air. A grin started to spread across Blossom's face as she thought about these things. You and your friends are special and unique, just like all the different flowers in the garden. Always remember, Blossom, a flower does not compare itself to the flower next to it. It just blooms. Blossom thought about that for a minute, then she smiled. So I shouldn't try to be exactly like my friends, should I? I can just bloom in my own special way. Yes, you've got it, Blossom. So thanks, Mama. I'm starting to feel better already. And with that, she hopped high into the air and headed back down the lane to go play in the meadow. This was going to be a good day after all. It Just Blooms by Deanna Chesley. Right, I think now we have our offering.
The words for our offering are by Heather Christensen, titled Individually and Together. Unitarian Universalism is a grand vision of a world filled with peace and justice, love and joy. That vision is embodied in a few large congregations, numerous mid-sized congregations, and many, many small congregations. No matter its size, every congregation depends on each of its members. Each one of you, by your commitment of time, energy, and resources, helps make that grand vision real. Individually and together,
with this final candle, may we really see each other in our good times and our bad. May we celebrate who we are, regardless of color, shape, or size. May we embrace the changes taking place in ourselves and in them. May we support and feel supported and nourished by this bouquet of community. And may we reach out and welcome new friends in this community. Amen. I had a reading listed that I was going to do from Mary Oliver, but I changed this one. I found this beautiful reading called A Bouquet of People, Claire Feingold Thorin. She says, let us give thanks for a bouquet of people. We give thanks for children like tulips and iris. They multiply around us, making the world ever filled with color, beauty, and new life. May we bless them as they replant themselves even further from us, knowing that they need their own space to grow into. We give thanks for generous friends, as constant in bloom as echinacea, and whose gifts lift up our body and spirit. We give thanks for feisty friends as indomitable as geraniums, and for continuous friends who, like bittersweet and ivy, hold on and never let go, and can never be gotten rid of. For crotchety friends as prickly as rose bushes, their beauty a secret that is only discovered through careful gardening. For surprising friends who at first glance seem dour and then blossom into joy as quickly as forsythia. For funny friends, silly as snapdragons, and for serious friends, complex as chrysanthemums. For comfortable friends, their gentle presence is soothing as the sweet smell of lilacs. For stormy weather friends who stand by us in hard times like lily of the valley that cannot be deterred by shade or shadow. For old friends nodding like sunflowers in the evening time, and young friends coming on fast as flocks. For friends as unpretentious as dogwood, as persistent as pachysandra, as steadfast as azaleas, and who like snowdrops can be counted on to see you through the winter and remind you that spring always comes. For loving friends who wind around us like wisteria and embrace us, despite our blights and wilts and witherings. And finally, for forget-me-not friends, gone but never forgotten. Their beauty lives on in our memories and hearts. For this bouquet of people who brighten our lives each in their own way, we give thanks. A Bouquet of People by Claire Feingold Thorin. Perfect for today. We give flowers to others to say we love them, to celebrate with them, to mourn them, to say, I am thinking of you, to say thank you. Who does not enjoy answering the door and finding a bouquet of flowers? What wedding does not have flowers in celebration of the day? And yet we send flowers to a funeral, not to celebrate, but to say, we care. My aunt lives in Virginia, and for her birthday and other holidays, I send flowers to say, I'm thinking of you. When my sister prepares Thanksgiving feast, I arrive with a bouquet of flowers to say thank you. At the hospital, flowers are delivered to patients to say, get well soon. They speak without speaking. They say what a heart means them to say. And so it's an excellent choice to bring flowers to church, to say thank you. I care. I celebrate you. I am with you. It says I am part of this bouquet that is this church community. No matter what flower is given, it seems always the right flower. It always brings joy. Even now in the service, the flowers we see bring smiles to our faces. We celebrate this joining in our joy of flowers. We speak to each other through the pictures of our flowers. It does not matter what color the flower is. We are the flowers. We too come in an incredible array of colors, of shapes, and of sizes. I read there are only 437 plant families, but 233,000 different species. So like flowers, we are similar, and yet we are different. We create a wonderful bouquet. Remember that the sun shines down on each flower without qualifying whether it is the right color, whether it's too tall, too short, shouldn't be growing there, or any of those reasons. The sun shines nevertheless. When we connect to a garden, to a tree, and I was told by a patient at the hospital that if you're a UU, then you must be a tree hugger. When we connect to the garden, to the tree, to the ocean, to flowers, to nature, we connect to peace. It connects us to our own place of peace. The world of flowers, the world of nature, walk in the woods, has a way of opening our hearts. And that was Dr. Capek's aim when he started the Flower Communion, to open hearts. As we walk in nature, as we sit with flowers, notice they do not judge, they just are. We look at the trees and we see imperfections in the tree branches. Have you ever tried to draw one? It's like we want to draw a perfect tree. Tree branches are never perfect, and yet they are perfect. The stream flowing along is never going the wrong way. The flowers on both sides of the stream are not competing with the beauty of one another. They just are, as we should be, just are to be. What incredible lessons they can teach us in their stillness, in their quiet, in their acceptance, their beingness of what is. They can bring us to that peace, that acceptance. They bring a smile to our face and it just bubbles up. Under a tree many, many years ago, Buddha sat down to meditate, to find his answer. Where did he go? He sat under a tree. We too seek the shade of a tree, the sound of the water, the softness of the grass to find peace and beauty of the flowers. Our deeper selves can be touched in that stillness. We, our true self, are in the deep water. Our temporary nature, I always like to say, when we're hanging out here, the fleeting face of ourselves, our temporary nature is what floats on the surface, gets whipped around by the waves and wind of daily events. But if we drop anchor into our heart, into quiet, into our deeper waters, we connect with that peace. It is just there waiting for us. The pandemic hopefully made us slow down, look for safe places, and perhaps we took a walk in the woods to settle ourselves, to find peace. People put pools in their backyards because, water is healing even in noisy fun. We built vegetable and flower gardens and sank our hands into the nurturing earth, hiked on outdoor trails and inhaled the fresh air created by the trees. Did we really understand the healing effect of these efforts, consciously or unconsciously? It is like a tree or flower that bends and grows this way, or all of it in reaching for the sun. We too reach for the sun. The sun that we reach for is peace. And when we touch that peacefulness, happiness bubbles up. Except out of habit, as we are trained by a constant bombardment of advertising, we reach not for peace, but for stuff, for things, for people that will somehow make us happy, even fleetingly. In 1982, a film was made, and I see it's now on YouTube, called Koya Anaskatsi, the Hopi word for life out of balance. When we become too busy for each other, for ourselves, for relationship, that is life out of balance. Our teachers today, our flowers, remind us to stop and smell the roses. Stop and smell the flowers. Be here, or you will miss it. Whatever flowers you have with you today or have sent in, let them be a reminder to stop. Stop for a moment, count to 5. Stop for a moment and be aware of your breathing. Stop for a moment and notice what someone near you is doing. Stop for a moment and watch all the crazy thoughts flying through your mind. Are they even yours? Stop and reflect on your gifts. Like Blossom in the story, we too often see what we don't have. We can't fly like the hummingbird or jump between the lily pads, but we don't see how well we hop. Take time to acknowledge and nurture the beauty of who you are. When you look at the flowers, let it remind you to see yourself. Remember that flowers come in all shapes and sizes, and so do we. We are the flowers. As the force of the pandemic retreats, don't be in such a rush to be in a rush. This time out gave us a moment to see ourselves, to be ourselves, to discover that super white teeth and 60-foot yachts are not the answer. It gave us the gift of time with a probably small group of family and friends. We discovered what worked and what didn't. They were your special bouquet of flowers. This church community is also your special bouquet of flowers. What did you learn about you, about them, about the world? What became important? What was not so important? Are you in a rush to get away? In the Tibetan Buddhist tradition, a monk enters a 3-year retreat. Well, it's like 3 years, 3 months, and 3 days, and 3 hours in order to tap into that peace that's within. All the distractions are removed. He's in a meditation hut or a cave. Someone comes and brings his food to him, so he's not interrupted. He does prayer and meditation. When they emerge, there is a knowingness about what is truly important. So in the same way, when we come out of this pandemic, where we have been in our cave, what will we take with us? We don't have to leave the world for 3 years, but even a day, even a moment. If we stop and count to 5, stop and take a breath. Break the energetic rush that wants to carry you away to Koya Anaskatsi, life out of balance. Instead, discover that deep drumbeat, your true heartbeat. Stop living on the surface. Feel that thread, that being place inside of you that has always been there. You have to stop, you have to look, you have to listen. The German philosopher Martin Heidegger succinctly said, we make a space inside ourselves so that being can speak. So who we truly are can come to the surface. Discover ways to make that space. Sit with your flowers, walk in the woods, pray, meditate, make a space and see what bubbles up. Ram Dass says the quieter you become, the more you can hear. You are the flower. I'm going to add this for Kim. We were debating where to put this discovery about flowers. Here's 8 things to learn from flowers. Always start your day with infectious energy and freshness. Be open to opportunities and challenges. Give, give, give. Learn to thrive and grow despite what is around you. Bask in your own glory. Stay natural with your looks and feelings. And remember, nothing is permanent. So live each moment to the fullest. Be in the moment. Be here. You are the flower. Whether you are geranium or iris or sunflower or forsythia, you are part of a beautiful bouquet. Step back and take a look at it. Do not overlook it. Do not forget it is there. Do not be too busy to look. Know that every person, every flower contributes to the whole, and that bouquet is less when any flower is missing. Each has its place, each has its gift. Some fly like hummingbirds, some climb like squirrels. Each has its place. Each gift you have is a gift and a reason for being. May you discover your flower inside. Blessed be. Amen. Melissa, our next hymn, Celebration of the Colors, number 305, De Colores.
Yes, the colors we see in the springtime with all of its flowers. All the colors when the sunlight shines out through a rift in the cloud and it showers. All the colors as a rainbow appears when a storm cloud is touched by the sun. All the colors about the whole world around and for everyone under the sun. All the colors about the whole world around and for everyone under the sun. All the colors, yes, the colors of people parading on high with their banners. All the colors, yes, the colors of planets and streamers and blooms and bandanas. All the colors, yes, the colors of people now taking their place in the sun. All the colors about for the whole world around and for everyone under the sun. All the colors about for the whole world around and for everyone under the sun. All the colors, yes, the black and the white and the red and the brown and the yellow. All the colors of people who smile and shake hands and say hello. All the colors, yes, the colors of people who know that their freedom is won. All the colors about for the whole world around, for everyone under the sun. All the colors about for the whole world around and for everyone under the sun. De colores se visten los campos en la primavera. De colores son los pajaritos que vienen de afuera. De colores está el arcoíris que vemos lucir. Y por eso los grandes amores de muchos colores me gustan a mí. Y por eso los grandes amores de muchos colores me gustan a mí.
Please read with me the words to extinguish the chalice. We extinguish this flame, but not the light of truth, the warmth of community, or the fire of commitment. These we carry in our hearts until we meet again.
May you take with you the joy that flowers bring, to nurture the peace in your heart and the smile on your face. Amen. Thank you, Melissa, for the beauty of the flowers.
Things look swell, things look great. Gonna have the whole world on a plate. Starting here, starting now. Honey, everything's coming up roses. Clear the deck, clear that'll be just the beginning. Curtains up, light the lights. We got nothing to hit but the heights. We'll be swell, we'll be great. I can tell, just you wait. That lucky star I talk about